Are you a busy woman who prioritizes everyone else's health above your own? Do you have questions about your diet, exercise, or how to prevent or treat certain health conditions? Are you always Googling health questions that you forget to ask or are embarrassed to ask your primary care physician? Girl, do you even have a primary care physician? Well, welcome to Headed to Healthier. I'm Dr. Brittney Anderson, a board-certified family medicine physician, and every day in my private practice, I have discussions with women just like you who are doing their best to juggle the demands of life while also desiring to become healthier. Inside this podcast, you'll find practical and actionable health tips that you can incorporate into your daily life. You'll get expert advice and insight from some of my awesome healthcare colleagues, and you'll hear relatable conversations with incredible women just like you who have made their health a priority and are thriving because of it. So throw on your sneakers and get some steps in while you listen. Or if you're driving, get those hands at 10 and 2 and let's dig in. We are headed to healthier. Hey everyone, welcome back to Headed to Healthier. Today we're going to talk about something that I know shows up every single year around this time, and that is how do I actually stay healthy during the holiday season? If you're like me at all, you go into the holiday season thinking I'm going to do better than I did last year. I'm not going to eat everything in sight. I'm not going to quote unquote cheat all through the holiday season, but it still ends up happening. So today I want us to talk as we're heading into Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday parties, work events, family gatherings. As we head into all those things, I want us to just slow down for a minute and think about how we can be healthy during this holiday season. This is a season that is so full of beauty and joy, but I know for a lot of us, it can also be really stressful. The season can be busy, and sometimes, honestly, the holiday season can be a little bit overwhelming, especially when it comes to trying to maintain health habits that you started to change in the last couple months. So, if you've ever ended the year feeling really tired or bloated or stressed out or just wishing you'd done things differently as far as your intake and exercise during the holiday season, this episode is for you. Today, I'm going to share 5 simple, practical, doable tips that you can take on to help you enjoy the holiday season without feeling like you're throwing all these healthy habits that you've started to form without feeling like you're throwing them all away. So let's get into it. So here's tip 1. This is a big one, and that is make a game plan for your holiday meals. Now listen, I know that holiday food is meant to be enjoyed. If you're like me, you love the dressing. You may call it stuffing. I call it dressing. You like to have the cakes and pies and all those things that come along with the holiday, but a little bit of planning can really help you feel better both during the meal, like while you're eating it, and after the meal. So here are a couple quick things that I think can help a lot. One is eat like normal before the big meals. Sometimes we find ourselves not eating all through the day because we know that big dinner is coming and we think that we're, saving up calories. But when you sit down to the table and you're overly hungry because you've been, fasting through the day waiting for that meal, what tends to happen is you overeat and then you end up feeling miserable afterwards. So eat like normal. If the, meal is planned for dinner time, eat a regular breakfast, eat something at lunchtime, and then sit down and have a sensible meal at that dinner. And then build a balanced plate whenever you can. I love that plate. We had Suzanne Henson, who's a nutritionist, on a previous episode, and she talked about what that plate should look like. So half of it should be fruits and veggies, a quarter of it should be a protein, and the other quarter of that plate should be a starch. Now, your plate doesn't have to be perfect every time. It's the holidays, I know, but try thinking about that as a guide. You certainly don't want a plate that's full of starch or a plate that's full of dessert, for one thing, which sometimes happens. So just being careful about that. And then one of the things I've been talking to my patients about in the last couple of weeks or so as we go into the holiday season is to pick your non-negotiable foods. So I've been asking them to 2 or 3 foods that they really look forward to this time of year. Maybe they're foods like dressing or stuffing that I mentioned earlier that we generally don't get all throughout the year. And I tell them whatever those things are, eat those without guilt, but then skip some of the rest of the things that we tend to just pile on our plate this time of the year otherwise. So find those few foods that you're really looking forward to and eat those things, but don't overload your plate with the other things. And of course, I'm always going to say this, making sure that you drink water. During the holiday season, if we're going to be, getting in extra calories and eating some things that we know we may not need, one of the things that we can really do to help ourselves is make sure that we're not wasting calories by drinking too much juice or soda. So really make sure that we're getting plenty of water in and that you're getting enough fluid in general. Sometimes if we're not getting enough fluid in, particularly water, and we get just a little bit drier than our body ought to be, that can make you feel hungrier than you actually even are. So just really making sure that you're kind of pacing yourself and staying hydrated through the holiday season as well. So tip one is making a game plan for your holiday meals. And this is not about restriction. It really is just about going into the entire holiday season with a plan so that you can still enjoy the foods that you love, but also so you can feel good afterwards. The second tip then is to fill your plate with color. Your body loves fiber, and nothing changes about that during the holiday. So, really try to make sure, like I was saying before, that your plates have fruits and veggies on them. And think about doing that for every plate. What that may look like is having a salad with your meal, loading up on roasted vegetables if you have them at your holiday meals, adding some fruit to your breakfast, or taking on fruit as a snack. And if you're going somewhere where you just know that there is not going to be an option for fruit there or not an option for, good veggies, maybe that's the dish that you choose to bring. Bring that healthy dish to gatherings if you already know that the options otherwise are going to be limited. Keep it in mind that when we have more color on our plate, colored foods like vegetables generally and fruit generally bring vitamins, minerals, and fiber that really help keep your body feeling full and energized. And when you make those swaps, again, I talk to my patients about making swaps for those cleaner foods. So choosing, lean proteins and adding white grains and baking instead of frying, and then adding more color to your plate. When you add those changes, it really adds up over a couple weeks. So this is something that if you haven't already started doing, you can start doing in this holiday season and carry that right on over into the next year. So, tip two is fill your plate with color. Now, tip three is to build movement into the busy season. Holiday seasons, trust me, I know can get wild and crazy. You'll be going from, this event to the next one, especially if you've got kids or have a big family and you've got multiple things coming up. And one of the first things to disappear is your regular exercise schedule. But keep in mind that movement doesn't necessarily mean always going to the gym for an hour. So, this holiday season, especially if your holidays are going to be really busy, think in terms of moments instead of marathons. So, what I mean by that is if you're not able to get your big full walk in or get that big trip into the gym, think about taking a 10 to 15-minute walk with your family after meals. Think about having a dance party with your family. Or you can dance in the kitchen while you're cooking. Yes, that counts. Turn on some Beyonce, turn on some good music, and have your dance party. And that's so much fun to do with family, especially in this age of TikTok or where there are all these dance trends that are going on. Find some young folks in your family and let them teach you some of those dances. That's a really good way to burn some calories and get some exercise in. And like I said, just make movement a part of your holiday tradition. We used to, my family doesn't do it anymore, but we'd, after Thanksgiving dinner, would get outside. I don't know where the footballs would show up from, but next thing you knew, everybody was playing football. Young, old, everyone was out there playing. Now it's basketball, sometimes volleyball, but think about those things that you can do as a family. And being able to bring the kids into that and then the older family members into that too is really fun. And you can truly start a new tradition just by doing that. The goal overall in the holiday season is consistency, not necessarily intensity, but just being consistent. Doing something is always going to be better than doing nothing. And the last one I'll talk about with movement is that if you're doing a bunch of holiday shopping, one thing that you can do is park as far away from the door as you possibly can and make yourself get those steps as you're walking into the department stores or wherever you're getting your shopping done. So tip three is to build movement into this busy holiday season. Tip 4, now this is a big one, and it may be the most important one, and that is during this holiday season, one way you can really stay healthy is to protect your peace. I know the holidays generally bring a lot of joy, but holidays also bring expectations. They bring in family dynamics, which may not always be positive. Depending on what you're doing or where you're going, the holidays may bring travel stress, sometimes financial worries. And in general, for most people, the holidays just bring on this endless list of things that you've got to do, places that you've got to go, people that you've got to see, all those things. And your mental health, I'll say this, I've said it so many times on this podcast before, but your mental health matters just as much as your physical health. So, a couple things you can do during the holiday season to keep your mental health intact. First is set boundaries. Set boundaries with your time, your energy, and your emotional capacity. It is okay to say no when you need to say no. You don't have to go to every holiday party. You don't have to go to every family event. It's okay to say, nope, I'm just going to take a little bit of time and spend some time by myself. You can also make sure that during this holiday season that you're practicing mindfulness and gratitude. Start taking a few minutes out of every day, especially as we get close to Thanksgiving and Christmas, and really taking that time of reflection to say out loud, or you can say it quietly, those things that you're thankful for, and really work on practicing gratitude. Another important thing in this holiday season is making sure that you limit comparison. Your holiday does not have to look like what you see on Instagram. It is okay if your house is not decorated for a Ralph Lauren Christmas. It is okay if you are not in matching pajamas with somebody. Those things are okay. Comparison is the thief of joy. So make sure that you are not spending too much time comparing yourself to other people, especially people on social media. Give yourself permission really to protect your peace, keeping in mind that a calmer you is a healthier you. So tip 4 is protecting your peace during the holiday season. And then tip 5, and that is plan your health before January gets here. We sometimes will splurge at the end of the year and think, all right, January's coming. On January 1st, I'm going to do better. I'm going to, turn the corner. But you don't have to wait until January 1st. You don't have to wait for your New Year's resolution to start really caring for yourself. Here are a couple quick wins that you can knock out this month. You can knock them out November, December as the year ends. Schedule upcoming appointments. Get your next checkup scheduled. If you're due for a pap smear, a mammogram, get those things scheduled. If you need prescription refills, go ahead and call those in. If you need to start tracking your daily routines or habits in a planner, go ahead and order that planner. I'm going to throw a shameless plug in here. In the show notes, you'll find the link to the Healthier Planner, this 2026 planner that I created, which really will get you on track to make 2026 your healthiest year ever. It is fantastic. I hand sketched the entire planner and I'm really excited about how it can really transform your health. So check it out in the show notes. But other things that you can do include reviewing your daily habits. If you are traveling, make sure that you go ahead and pack your medications for your trip so that you don't forget them. And then just take time and choose 1 or 2 healthy behaviors that you are going to keep consistent throughout the holidays. I really think planning for that in advance will really set you up to really meet those goals and to keep those healthy behaviors that you've already been working on. So in closing, let's recap those 5 tips. 1, make a game plan for your meals during this holiday season. 2, be sure to fill your plate with color. 3, build movement into the holiday season. 4, protect your peace. And 5, plan your health before January. Again, you absolutely deserve to enjoy the holidays, and you deserve to enjoy the holidays without sacrificing your health or your well-being. I am wishing you a joyful, peaceful, and healthy holiday season. I'll see you next week here on Headed to Healthier. Hey, thanks for listening in today. I hope something you heard in this episode will help you on your journey to becoming healthier. Remember, this podcast offers general health information. I am not your personal physician. If you need advice that is specific to you, be sure to consult your physician. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts. Also, be sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Tune in next week for another great episode of Headed to Healthier. Until then, take care of yourself. Talk soon. Bye.